Hello, Commander. This is Commander Felix Jefferson here, bringing you a special bulletin about these next two episodes. The next two episodes being episode 22 and episode 23. These ones have never actually been broadcast or published anywhere due to the recent station shakeup that we had in the later parts of 3303. And so these can almost even be thought of as lost episodes of the talk show, but they're old enough at this point where it didn't really make sense for us to broadcast them. So these are just going straight up here. So enjoy.
Hello, Commander, and welcome back to the Radio Sidewinder Talk Show. I'm Commander Felix Jefferson, and as usual, I'm joined by...
I'm Commander Stephen Atchernock, and thanks for joining us today. So we've got quite a few interesting things to talk about today. Not too much has really gone down in the news. It's been a little bit of a slow news week.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah, we got some interesting stuff though. Later in the show, we've had some interest from listeners of the Pilots Federation. People are wondering who are these people they're really working for, and so we did a little research and got some stuff together for you. But first, we should talk about the news.
Yeah, the lack of news, more of, but
well, not the complete lack of news, thankfully.
Yeah.
But interestingly, it looks like we're having some expansion. The Alliance actually is looking to expand. They want to go out to the California Nebula, which is pretty cool. It's like what, 1,000 light years outside of most Imperial space. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I mean, they're just right now. They're just looking for like your usual stuff to start settlements up: terrain enrichment systems, crop harvesters, auto fabricators, stuff like that. It's pretty cool, though. It would be cool to have some more stuff out there. The California Nebula is a beautiful place, and we don't have enough civilization inside of nebulas. They're so cool, so pretty to go to. So it'll be a real treat once that's actually developed.
Yeah, and I mean, it's nice to set up or to have another civilization set up that's kind of far away, but not as far away as Colonia.
Yeah, I mean, Colonia is a little out there. I'm tired of getting all these. People are asking me to take data out to Colonia and take passengers out to Colonia, and I'm like, I'm not going to Colonia. And they're like, we'll give you 400,000 credits, and I'm like, you're gonna have to do a lot better than that to get me to go out to Colonia right now.
Seriously.
It's a long trip. I'm not, I know there's a lot of people out there who are really into the exploration, really into the long trips out to places, and people who go back and forth to Colonia like every week. I don't know how they commute that far, but I can't do it.
Yeah, it's too much for me.
Yeah, it
but then again,
is.
Those people who are probably doing that every week are probably using Anacondas, which I don't know about you, but I'm sure not using that. I'd still use my Corvette. Actually, there's some interesting news.
Yeah.
I actually bought a second Corvette because I loved my first one so much that I thought, might as well have two, right?
I mean, I guess if you want to be throwing your money around, Mr. Pennybags over here. No, but seriously, I guess congratulations.
Yeah. I mean, it's another large investment, and maybe it will pay off. Who knows? The first one I think paid off. I like my first Corvette, but I thought it would be good to have another one just to fall back on, and also, because I mean, there are people who just want to watch the world burn, or in this case, my Corvette, apparently, but.
Been targeted a lot.
Yeah, getting targeted a lot.
I don't think buying a second Corvette is the way to not get targeted.
No, I will still get targeted, but, maybe there's some extra leeway, I guess, where I don't have to worry as much about, can I cover my insurance payments this month? But, I mean, and the other good thing about that is now I have a little bit of a test bench, I can test loadouts and all that before I actually put them on my main ship.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of pirates out there to test them out on.
Yeah.
Which brings us to some other news, kind of concerning the Pilots Federation. For all of you out there who are pirates, especially a lot of our listeners, you probably want to watch out soon. I mean, just try to get more creative with your pirating. It looks like the Pilots Federation is going to start cracking down a bit on pirates, I guess, as they try to really legitimize themselves in the eyes of other commanders out there. But It looks like they're none too happy about it.
They've always been kind of trying to fit in and actually seem like a legitimate organization.
Well, they are a legitimate organization.
Well,
at this
yeah,
point.
that's true. But I mean, like back in the early days, we'll get into it later.
And we were talking about expanding to California Nebula. There's another group that's expanding. The Wolves of Jonai. I don't know if anybody's heard of them or if you've been around there. But they're just a group, and they're actually trying to expand into another system. HR 7047, and instead of rather just sort of expanding their influence onto bases and things like that, they're actually asking for people to come help them construct an asteroid base. I think it's cool. We need more asteroid bases out there. I mean, it's, you've got to worry about asteroids bumping into each other, or just, it's you've got to be able to have pilots navigate through those. But I mean, it's still pretty cool to look at, living inside a giant rock.
Plus, I mean, it's not that far to go to the res site,
Yeah, it's right out
the door. You can just fly right out,
Yeah. That would be great for mining if it's in like a really nice ring. I'm surprised we don't see more asteroid bases in like pristine metallic and rings and stuff like that. Anything with some rich platinum, gold, silver, painite, things like that. You can have people just go right out the door, grab a bunch of it, and then come right into the station. It would be so much more efficient for mining. Though I would imagine maybe at some point those stations would get abandoned if the rings dried up. But honestly, there's so many resources in those rings. I think it would be a long time before anybody had to worry about that. And by the time people did have to worry about that, they might have something else in their pocket to keep the station going,
Yeah. Sounds like something that we need to start investigating. Maybe for ourselves.
Yeah. I'd like to go to a few of these asteroid bases and ask around. But in other news, we've made some really good strikes against the Thargoids. Well, I guess not us personally, but us as humanity. We had quite a little interesting run-in with a Thargoid ourselves, trying to help out with Operation Andronicus.
Yeah, it didn't go quite as well as the other encounters that I've participated in.
Yeah, I would say if you're going to go attack a Thargoid, maybe bring a bigger ship than a Viper.
Yeah, and make sure that it's actually got AX weapons, and a decent amount of hull and shielding. General combat.
Yeah, we had a friend with us, Commander Nixon, and another fellow radio Sidewinder listener, big fan of the radio station, came with us, Commander Entrius. And Entrius was outfitted for exploration, so he wasn't doing a whole lot of damage. And I think Nixon didn't want to sell his lasers.
Yeah, but he could have just stored them at the station.
Yeah. He was like, do I have to buy AX weapons?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to buy all these AX weapons. It's like, just buy them. We need them to shoot the...
I mean, he just did not trust that station manager, I guess. I don't know.
No, I guess not. Well, and in the whole thing, we got it down to 70%, but of course it healed right back because we hadn't taken out any of its hearts yet. But that'll teach us for next time.
Yeah.
I got to invest in a cutter to take one of those things on more,
I mean, bigger the better, really, when it comes to those things.
I didn't feel like I was doing too bad in the Viper, but I think...
No, because they were all focused at me in the big Corvette.
Yeah, exactly, which I was okay with. They took down my shields a bit, but we actually managed to all get out of there without losing any ships, so I'll have to be more prepared next time. I actually went and did a bit of the rescue operation, too, or tried to. I took a hauler out and just was going to different points of interest where these Thargoids were, and I was picking up life support pods, life escape pods, and stuff like that.
Well, that went a lot better than the other one, didn't it?
Yeah, a lot more people were in that, and I think that's a good thing. More people going out that just try to get the people away from the Thargoids. But it turned out I ended up needing to be the one rescued after a little bit. Oh. Thankfully, a pilot came along and rescued me too. Yeah, here I was just flying in, and there was a Thargoid, and he ran up to me real fast. They don't really respect personal space a lot, I've noticed. When they're trying to scan you, they're right up there. But as soon as they're done scanning you, if they don't think you're a threat, they really like their personal space at that point.
Right, of course, because then it's them that's inconvenienced.
Yeah,
Never
exactly.
Mind us.
Clearly they're actually upper class imperial citizens.
Yeah.
Actually,
basking in their
Thargoids. Yeah. But I picked up an escape pod and I was going for a second one, and I picked it up and I turned to to leave the area. I was going to go to another star system because I had filled up on these escape pods. Had a lot of people getting ready to go home, and I turned, and in between me and the next star system was a Thargoid, and he happened to be coming the direction that I was, coming from the direction I was going towards, and I knocked one of his little Thargon drone buddies, whatever those things are, knocked one of them with my ship and blew it up, and he did not take kindly to that, and so I found myself in an escape pod. Very lucky that there were a lot of commanders out there.
I might be wrong, but oh no, you said you were in your hauler for that, so never mind. I was going to say,
I just picked
if
up
you were
a
in your
hauler,
Viper, I think the Viper's actually faster than the Thargoid ships, but if you're in your hauler, then that's,
those Thargoid ships are pretty quick, but yeah. No, my Viper's pretty fast too, but yeah, no, I just went in the hauler because I was just mainly, I wanted, a bit of jump range, and I wasn't really trying to, I wasn't trying to fight one or anything, and I didn't want to risk anything expensive, so a hauler seemed like a good choice for that moment. Anyway, I think it's time for us to take a quick break, and we will be back after this short commercial with a bit about the Pilots Federation.
Hello, Commander, and welcome back to the talk show.
Yeah, so like we said, we had some people asking us about the Pilots Federation. If you remember our Q&A last episode, we went into a little bit in depth about what we knew about it then during a question, which was not much, to be honest. I haven't really done a lot of looking into the history of the Pilots Federation, or mostly I just signed up and was given my Sidewinder, and I collect my bounties, and
how was that?
But they have a hand in a lot more than I thought they did.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I knew they were a very big, a big group. I mean, they're the whole reason we have the ranking system in the first place. They have everything to do with giving out these ships, and everyone registers with them who wants to be an independent pilot.
Yeah. They help organize and distribute the bounties.
Yeah. And we get Pilots Federation bounties on things, but I thought a lot of it had to do with, I didn't know that they were like the ones just starting out bounties. I thought it was more like, governments, minor governments or factions within political empires would be like giving out bounties to get the independent pilots out there. But it turns out a lot of people just didn't trust independent pilots at all until the Pilots Federation came about, and the Pilots Federation basically just built it out from nearly nothing.
Yeah.
They've been around for nearly 500 years now.
Yeah, they started up in 2805, which is quite a long time ago.
Yeah, in 2 years it'll be 500 years. So that's quite a bit. And for those of you who don't know, they got a lot of their money from Galnet. They actually started up Galnet. And also,
which I did not know. That's crazy.
It is pretty crazy, especially because most people, when you say Galnet nowadays, they just think the news. But Galnet's actually also, your ranking systems. Galnet is your star map and star data. Any scanning you do, Explorers out there, and you bring it back, that's technically Galnet data.
Yeah,
and that's what the Galnet is. So
right, yeah.
They started out paying out for that in order to expand it, but they started the Galnet data network. They started system and bounty and star chart data just in the Galnet, and they keeping track of everything. And that way, I guess, in a way, people were like, okay, we have independent pilots, but they are registered with the Pilots Federation. So if we hire these independent pilots, they will have a tracker on them. If they don't do something, then we'll know about it, and other people will know about it. And if they do, the right thing, we'll be able to pay them through it. It's kind of an insurance almost for the people hiring us every day.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool.
That makes sense, because for all the people who aren't pilots, if they just hire a pilot to do a job for them, whatever it may be, whoever is hiring them doesn't have the luxury of just getting in a ship and flying away if they don't really want to do whatever it is.
A lot of them do, but they don't hire themselves out as pilots. We're hiring ourselves out as pilots in many different situations. Right. We hire ourselves out to track down criminals and bounties. We hire ourselves out to take passengers and trade.
But I guess what I'm saying is, it's just like with commanders, there's a lot of freedom, yeah, and it can kind of be it can be a good thing, but then it could also be a bad thing. They could decide to help someone or, you know, say they're going to help someone and then just leave. And so I guess the best thing about this Pilots Federation and the bounties and the trackers and all that is that it does provide, like you said, some insurance to all the people who hire them. And, you know, it's like, at least if they do something wrong, they'll probably be punished somehow for it.
And that's why, like, for instance, you know, you were getting a little grumpy the other day. We were going around some system security guy was rude to you, and we were in a federation in your system, and you're like, I outrank him. You know, he shouldn't be rude to me. But I mean, that's the difference, though. I mean, you're an independent pilot. You're technically a mercenary who works for them. You've been given a rear admiral in your contractual obligations, but there's actual dedicated Federation pilots who are just Federation pilots. They don't work with the Pilots Federation. They just work with the Federation.
Right, yeah.
And so, you know, they're not mercenaries. They're trusted. And I'm sure probably even some of them might look down on independent pilots, which is a shame because, you know, a lot of independent pilots out there are great, but some of them aren't. So, you know, but in that way, you know, the Federation gives you access to certain things because you've worked so well with them. But, you know, you're still an independent pilot to them, as I am with the Empire and as we both are with the Alliance and everything like that. So, and that's why a lot of people will be able to work with both major powers, though. Even when they're in turmoil, they'll work with the Empire and the Federation and have the ability to get access to many things on both of them. But the Pilots Federation is what keeps them from outright betraying or, you know, doing things that would ultimately destroy one side or the other or give the other one an extremely unfair advantage.
Right.
You know, the Empire says this is what we're willing to give our independent pilots, this is what we're willing to pay them. And, you know, the Pilots Federation puts it up on your job board when you're in the correct system. You know, it's not like you're going in blind and they're like, oh, here's some like super secret stuff. If they have super secret stuff, odds are they're going to give it to their people, which is why I guess when you're merit grinding, you go out and destroy the people of the other side, try to get more of that information. But then you have a bounty on your head. So, I mean, it's, you know, that's how the whole system works, you know, the checks and balances. But I think a lot of people have been getting wary because of that. I mean, monopoly, essentially, that they have on this. They have all the star chart data, the ship data, the bounty management systems. They have data on markets and news, and they have communications. I mean, all this stuff is run under the Pilots Federation. And while they say they don't interfere with the workings of systems or factions, you know, that they just talk about they're ensuring that, you know, independent pilots can do what they do. They definitely, like, you know, if the wrong people get in power, we don't know who the elite. It's not now we say elite. You know, there's elite Federation members. The elite Federation of Pilots is not the same thing as getting an elite ranking in the Pilots Federation. There is an elite Federation of Pilots that make the decisions, and nobody really knows who they are. I mean, they don't even know where they're from, and they're the ones that control it. And then you've got other groups like, you know, some people may have heard of the Dark Wheel. Salome was involved with them, reportedly. Not sure if she was involved or kidnapped or what, but, you know, people have heard of them, and I guess they have their own agenda, and we don't know who they are. So I think it's a lot of that people not knowing who's in charge that make it worried.
Of course, this is all just what other people have told us and what we found, you know, doing digging. But it seems like from various sources that the people who are a part of this elite Federation of Pilots, it's all just complete secrecy within the organization, you know, and they keep that by spreading misinformation. So, I mean, it's really hard to tell who's in and who's out, or what they're doing and when and where, because it's really hard to decipher the actual truth when they're, you know, putting a load of extra garbage out in there to, you know, kind of make it really hard to distinguish where they are and what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, at this point, it's tough to, I don't know, it's tough to say, like, exactly how much, like, how high up the Pilots Federation power grows, because you've got all these governments who all hire independent pilots, and then you've got groups like the Dark Wheel, or, you know, the Club as it's called, and these groups still answer to the Pilots Federation, and we don't even know who they are, and they influence, you know, different things that have happened in history and are still influencing major organizations. I mean, I know the club has a lot of influence on the Sirius Corporation, which again is something that's so terrifying. But they all answered the Pilots Federation, and it seems kind of strange that, like, while they're not doing anything necessarily malicious right now, they could easily turn that around if they wanted to.
Like you said, it matters how high up this goes, because like you were saying, when we were researching, we found a lot of things that were connected in an odd way. Everything kept on going back to the Pilots Federation and this dark wheel, which is kind of strange. I mean, the whole Salome event, we noticed. Yeah, like you said, Sirius Corporation and even Meta Drives, which, it's like no one even remembers them now. They were the company that used to have quite a pretty big stake in drive engineering, and now they're just they're a part of Sirius, right? Sirius acquired them now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of interesting conspiracy theories out there tying everything together, which, I mean, it may just be nothing, but.
And I mean, it's never nothing. Come on.
Well, true.
Maybe inconsequential, but it's definitely something. I mean, Sirius has quite a monopoly on frameshift drive technology. In fact, if we're just talking about people manipulating it anyway, I mean, originally it was the Alliance who discovered frameshift drive technology, and they were going to hold on to it. They weren't going to share it with anybody in the Federation or the Empire, and they could have used that to take over all of the civilized space if they wanted to, if they were the only ones who had frameshift drives. But, the club didn't want that to happen. And so they leaked it to Sirius Corporation. And so Sirius Corporation produced it to everybody. And I mean, not at a cheap price, but now everybody had access to it. And it no longer was a way for the Alliance to come over. And we know the Alliance is generally non-competitive. At least they don't go out of their way to start fights. But, they could have. They could have taken over the galaxy with that.
Yeah, easily.
So it's kind of weird how they manipulate things just on a completely galactic scale even. I think definitely have to pay more attention to that in the future. And maybe during some of our episodes, we can sit here and talk some more about this lore and how it ties together. Maybe get a bit more in depth. Maybe we can do some more, investigating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some more investigated journalism.
Gonna get one of those cork boards for my wall and just pin papers up to it and make all the connections.
We will find the answers.
Definitely, there's a lot that we can talk about with this. I mean, I'm definitely going to start doing some more research, at least on my own.
And by all means, Commander, you should probably start doing some of your own looking into all this, because, the more eyes.
And let us know something that we may have missed.
Yeah, that's all the time we have for this week, and we probably shouldn't go too far, because we don't even know if whoever's pulling the strings is close by, but
they're listening to us. No.
That's all we got this week, Commander. Be sure to check out not only the next week's episode of the Raider Sidewinder Talk Show, but also hop into Pilot's Lounge and converse with other commanders. And
definitely check us out on the Galnet.
Yeah, definitely check us out on our Galnet page. And we've been making some pretty interesting pushes out in Colonia. So if you're willing to help us with that, because maybe you are flying something other than a Corvette that only gets 16 light year jump range, who knows? You can join by signing up in the Pilot's Lounge for the Radio Sidewinder crew to fly out there and help us establish our footing.
I'm gonna stay out in the Tago area, because
yeah, me too.
It's a little closer. It's in civilization. We've got the tacos.
Yeah.
That's about all I need.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the other thing. If you're in Tago, you need to come and try a taco.
Absolutely.
These things are delicious.
It's taco night every night for me. All right. Well, that's all for us today. So this is Commander Steven Atronach signing off.
And I am Commander Felix Jefferson signing off. Fly safe, Commander.